Hey guys, it's Size. So, I've heard and read a lot of rumours lately that a lot of Shadow Priests have been asking about or taking Mindsear out of their talent tree in Mythic Plus, especially in the higher keystones. So, they've been doing this in order to focus more on the Dark Ascension, Mind Spike, and Psychic Link interactions, and the fact that you funnel a lot of damage through your Surge of Darkness procs, and being able to just Devour and Plague and Mind Flay Insanity. And whilst this has been happening for a little bit, and I've been reading about it for a while, I've sat on it, and I thought now is a good time as any for me to delve into it and just give my personal opinion on why and why not for this build, just to kind of give people a little bit of an insight into why some people play it and some people don't. So let's hop in. So first of all, what is the typical build for Mythic Plus recently and as of right now, and how does it compare to the Mindsear build? I guess that's what we're going to be calling it. So here we have our standard build. You know, it has your Mindsear, your Shadow Crash, your Dark Ascension, your Void Eruption, going down into Cthulhu and Yogg-Saron, or your Shiraj and Yogg-Saron. So this is the standard build, right? We've been playing with this since Dragonflight launched, and a lot of us from the beta as well. So this is what we've been using. It's worked well. It's proven itself. And until it changes on Wednesday for EU and Tuesday for NA, this is the build that we have been using and we're going to continue to use. It's just going to get tweaked a little bit with the patch in order to fit in your Void Torrent and your Idol of N'Zoth, just because it paths quite nicely down on the right hand side. So where does it change, right? So where does it change going from your standard build to the Mindsear build? It stays largely the same, right? We're flat out removing Mindsear and replacing it with 1 point in Insidious Ire in most cases, as well as going for Yushraj and Cthulhu, which is completely your choice. You can pick either one. A lot of people have just been going for the Yushraj because you have a lot more time in a pack to make sure you're using your Shadow Air Deaths and your Mind Blast, whereas before you would be using your Mindsear, and it's a lot more clunky to use that properly as it eats up your insanity on the tick, not on the cast. So now you'll be able to focus on getting that Mindbender damage out and making the most out of it. So now that we know what each build looks like, let's have a little look at the pros and cons of this build and just give you a little bit of insight into what's good about it and what doesn't work. So just starting off with the pros of this build. So first of all, there's no clunky Mindsear casts. You can cast Devour and Plague and you get your Psychic Link Cleave or Mind Flay Insanity or your regular Mind Flay. It just makes it less clunky in the terms of you're able to move a little bit more. You're not worrying about getting rid of that Insanity as a cast. You're just going to be DPing, which is a lot quicker. It's quicker to get rid of your Insanity for a DP than it was for a Mindsear, providing you had to move. It simplifies the rotation down a little bit, meaning you can focus more on using those Mind Spike Surge of Darkness procs, especially on high movement scenarios. For example, when you're running around on a boss fight, or if there's ads that cast a ground effect on the floor and you've got to move out, and you would have had to cancel Mindsear. You don't have that problem, providing you've got your Mind Spike Surge of Darkness proc. You have an extra point to use in a single target node instead, which is going to be pretty big going into the next patch anyway, since you're going to be doing a lot more single target focused damage with your Void Torrent, and maybe Insidious Ire you might pick up. It paths down quite nicely, especially on Tyrannical weeks. You very well might do that, and it gives you an option to go into Coalescent Shadows or picking up a point in that Inescapable Torment. So finally, the mobility increase. You don't have to stand still to channel Mindsear anymore. If you're not taking it, you don't have to stand still. You're not planting your feet. You don't have to worry about wasting a proc on a Mind Devourer channel just to have to move straight away. You know, there's been so many scenarios in the past where I've been in a dungeon and I've had to move on a Mind Devourer proc, and then of course you're not wasting Insanity, but you're wasting that Mind Devourer proc. If it was a normal Mindsear, you would just cancel the tick, you'd still have the Insanity left, but with a Mind Devourer proc, once you've used the proc, it's gone. It's a waste, right? So with that, you don't have to worry about that with this build. And with that out of the way, let's have a look at the cons. So Mindsear is a huge damage ability. Taking it away from us just to focus on the Psychic Link rotation does mean that in the majority of dungeons you are going to lose out on damage. You know, you look at dungeons like Algothar Academy, Knocker Defensive, Ruby Life Pools. A lot of these dungeons have big packs in where your tank can pull quite large, and the Mindsear does carry on the damage. You know, in order to make the Mind Spike build work and the Mindsear-less build, it's going to take a little bit of getting used to because you don't have that burst AoE. You're going to be focusing on dotting everything up, and then you're just going to be waiting for the procs on the Mind Spike. With Mindsear, you don't have that issue. You're able to just get into the AoE damage. You know, if you're saving up Insanity for the next spell, or you're saving a Mind Devourer proc, it's a big chunk of your damage, and you're just giving that up just to go for a Mindsear-less build. It's a con, right? So when and if screams ever get fixed, Mindsear will just flat out top again due to the increased tick duration and generation from your dots, and that should be getting fixed this coming patch, Tuesday for NA, Wednesday for EU. Not confirmed, but I'd imagine that they're going to look at fixing the shadow buffs alongside the bugs as well. So hopefully that's all getting sorted out, and we'll have a little bit more information on that come Wednesday. And it does feel a little bit weird, you know, after almost a decade of having Mindsear in your rotation, not having it just doesn't feel good, right? You know, sure, the mobility will feel nice about it, and you'll forget about it for a little bit, but it's just not the same not having that ability to cast on hand. So with that out of the way, let's see what the Shadow community has to say about people picking a Mindsear-less build. So with that, guys, I'll leave you with this one little bit of advice that I've got for you. Play what you enjoy. With the large majority of people that watch my video either being relatively new to WoW or Shadow Priest as a whole, the most important thing that I can say to you is that you need to be enjoying the class or the spec that you're playing. The game becomes a lot more fun when you're engaged in a spec, whether that be through class fantasy, the talent builds, or the rotation. You know, you enjoying the class is way more important than you pushing out the extra 2 to 4% DPS. Unless you're pushing 22s to 24s or you're doing mythic raiding content, it won't make the world a difference. Trust me. I've tried min-maxing in the past as well on other classes that I've not been so good on. You know, when you learn the new class, it's not as enjoyable. It takes the enjoyment out of the game unless you're reaching for those top ranks. But if you do want to min-max, then by all means try out the different builds. You know, try out Mindsear-less Build. The beauty of Shadow is that we do have a variety of builds that work. It's great to see people testing them out themselves, and I can't wait to see other builds that people come up with in the future. So, to finish off, I would say that I am open to the idea of a Mindsear-less build, but I'm going to be sticking to my Mindsear for the majority of my keystones, just because it is guaranteed free burst AoE. And it has good sustained AoE damage as well when you've got all your dots rolling and your Mindsear is ticking on that Screams of the Void. And I don't mind the casting, the interrupt to the channeling, so you're not wasting Insanity, right? You use Insanity on each tick, not each cast, so I don't mind having to cancel my channel to move to avoid an ability, especially in the higher keystones, because you will die if you stand in them. So I'm happy with the build, and I'll be uploading another video about Wednesday or Thursday just to go over the patch changes and what the different builds are going to be and the new go-to builds, but they will also be up in my Discord as well, so feel free to check out that for the latest build, and you might be changing to these going forward. Feel free to like the video if it was useful, and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and take care.